The earthly incarnation of Lucifer. According to Rudolf Steiner, Lucifer incarnated on Earth in the third pre-Christian millennium. If we go back in the development of humanity before the mystery of Golgotha, then we come to find in ancient times of Oriental cultural development a human personality on Earth within that culture from which today's Chinese culture has developed, a human personality who was the outer human embodiment of Lucifer, who at that time really walked on Earth as a human embodiment, and who was the bearer of the human light that we find on the ground of ancient pre-Christian wisdom, with the exception of Judaism. Even in Greekism, through that which worked in art, in worldview, in statesmanship, flows through that which went out from the Lucifer incarnation millennia before the mystery of Golgotha. Lit. GA 195, p. 38. The Yellow Emperor, Huang Di, the legendary founder of Chinese culture, was presumably this earthly incarnation of Lucifer. Although Rudolf Steiner did not explicitly refer to it by name, there was a Chinese Lucifer incarnation in the beginning of the third millennium. Lit. GA 193, p. 185f. He brought people tremendous wisdom and deep insights in the medical field, but could not yet give any moral impulses. The actual moral impulse for humanity was first prepared by Judaism, then further developed by Christianity. And the question must arise, where does it come from that the glorious old pagan wisdom, which for example still had an artistic and philosophical flowering of the most beautiful kind in Greece, had no moral impulse in it? If, however, we were to go further back into the third millennium of pre-Christian times, we would find that with the impulse of wisdom comes at the same time a moral impulse, and that this is absolutely so, as I have already explained here, that in the impulse of wisdom was contained at the same time that which the ancient people needed as their morals, as their ethos. But a special ethos, a special moral impulse, as it then came with Christianity, was not inherent in pagan wisdom as such. Why? Because for the millennia that immediately preceded Christianity, this pagan wisdom was inspired by a place far over in Asia, but inspired by a very strange being, the being of Lucifer, who really incarnated in Asia over there, far in the east, in the third millennium before Christ. And to the many things we have learned about the development of mankind, it is necessary that we also add the knowledge that just as there was the incarnation of Golgotha, the incarnation of the Christ in the man Jesus of Nazareth, there was also a real incarnation of Lucifer in the third millennium before Christ in Asia. And a large part of the ancient culture was inspired by the side that can only be described as an earthly incarnation of Lucifer in a human being who lived in flesh and blood. Even Christianity, the mystery of Golgotha, when it took place among men, was first conceived in such a way as men could grasp it through what they could get from the old Lucifer wisdom. The one-sidedness of the otherwise extraordinarily profound gnosis also stems from the fact that this Lucifer incarnation passed through the old world. The full significance of the mystery of Golgotha cannot be properly understood unless it is known that it was preceded, not quite 3,000 years, by a Lucifer incarnation. To add to this Lucifer inspiration, that which brings this Lucifer inspiration out of one-sidedness, came the Christ incarnation. Lit. GA 191, p. 197 ff. At first, even the understanding of the earthly incarnation of the Christ was prepared by the earthly embodiment of Lucifer. At the beginning of the third millennium, an important event took place in Eastern Asia. A child from one of the noble Asiatic families of that time grew up in the surroundings of the ceremonial services of the mysteries. Circumstances presented themselves in such a way that this child was allowed to take part in the ceremonies, probably because the leading priests of the mysteries felt it to be an inspiration that they should allow such a child to take part. And when the person who lived in this child had reached the age of about 40, something strange happened. It turned out, and it must be said that the priests of the mysteries foresaw the event prophetically to a certain extent, that this man, who had been allowed to grow up in one of the East Asian mysteries, suddenly began, towards his 40th year, to grasp through human judgment the meaning of what had previously only entered the mysteries through revelation. He was, so to speak, the first to be allowed to make use of the organs of the human intellect, but only with reference to the mysteries. If we translate what the priests of the mysteries said about this matter into our present-day language, we must say, in this man was incarnated no more, no less than Lucifer himself. And that is an important, a significant fact, that there really was a fleshly incarnation of Lucifer in the third pre-Christian millennium in the east of Asia. And from this incarnation of Lucifer in the flesh, for this personality then taught, emanated that which is actually called the pre-Christian, pagan culture, which still lived in the gnosis of the first Christian centuries. One must not simply pronounce a derogatory judgment on this Lucifer culture. For the beauty and even the philosophical insight of Greek culture, which also lives in ancient Greek philosophy, in the tragedies of Aeschylus, all this would not have been possible without this Luciferic incarnation. This Luciferic incarnation was, as I said, still powerful in the south of Europe, in the north of Africa, in the west of Asia in the first Christian centuries. And when the mystery of Golgotha took place on earth, it was essentially the Luciferic wisdom through which the mystery of Golgotha could be understood. That which first prepared itself as gnosis to comprehend the mystery of Golgotha was thoroughly fertilized by Luciferic wisdom. So that we must first of all emphasize, there was a Chinese Lucifer incarnation at the beginning of the third millennium. There was the incarnation of the Christ at the beginning of our era. And at first even the incarnation of the Christ was understood by the fact that the power of the old Lucifer incarnation was still there, which actually only disappeared for human insight, for human self-power, in the 4th century after Christ.